Welcome back to Football Pundits and to this episode of Fantasy Premier League. It was actually a very good game week for both of us here, for me, Kern and I. And, Kern had a very good wild card. He got a good boost in his ranks. And me, well, I got a good 84 points overall. And my overall rank is now 6,600 and something, I think, 29. I'm not
Do
sure.
how? I mean, top 10K in
I'm
these times, clearly everyone should just be listening to you. I
No,
mean,
I'm not going to blow this
phenomenal.
up, guys. It's only been 5 game weeks, but yes, some of our tips, Kern, have actually helped, right? Sticking to
Most
it.
of our tips, I'd say most of our tips.
I'm just being
I'm not going to downplay it at all. I think, people should keep tuning in because it has worked. I mean, as you were, I think going to say, Kane and Son captain, we rightly called this week, not Salah. Kane and Son were our top captain picks. They performed. Stick with Warner if you have him, because Chelsea are going to start scoring through him now, and that happened. So many other ones which take it away, man. I mean, you got the list.
I mean, KDB out for Bruno or Rashford, or Mane. In fact, I said double up for this 1 week couldn't hurt it well. One free transfer in, and if KDB is fit, you can switch it back out for next week, right? But unlike Kern, I am going to downplay it. It's game week 5. Yes, we obviously want to listen to our tips. We think we're on a roll right now, but hey, end of the day, it always comes down to instincts, right, Kern? So let's quickly get into this episode. And what do you have to think about now? Firstly, looking at how your wildcard team performed.
So this week, it seems like I'm going to write it out, especially since there's like sort of midweek games and stuff. Not making any changes. And that's one of the tips I want to give FPL managers as well. If there are any new managers out there, sort of their first or second season, when there's games midweek, avoid making that early change because one injury to some other player and suddenly your whole team is in whack, right? Suppose you've taken out, say, Ings and brought in Jimenez, but suddenly Harry Kane is injured, out for a couple of weeks, and you need to make that change, and you're taking -4 for a change otherwise which you didn't maybe need for this week. So I'm just saying, sort of be patient with those changes. That's what I'm going to do, and I think I'm going to go through this week without any changes at all. I know we're going to get to some very important names like Harry Kane on this, and I'm going to discuss that transfer then. But I'm going to stick with my wildcard team from last week for next week as well, at least as of now, if no injuries happen.
Oh, fair enough. So, Kern, Ings was a big choice for you, and we did an Ings versus Jimenez debate, right? And we said for this week, Jimenez would definitely score. Lucky goal, I'll bet, but hey, he got the points. And Ings
And
scored as
exactly
well.
what I said. We looked at the stats and we saw that, Leeds concede the most number of shots in the box. And Jimenez is that kind of striker who just needs that one lucky shot and he'll do it. And that's exactly what happened. So, yeah.
Yeah, and my main thing, again, since we're talking about Ings and Jimenez, right? Before we go into Harry Kane. Again, Wolves, Newcastle home, Crystal Palace home, Leicester away, Southampton home. 4 good fixtures. Leicester aren't doing that well itself, so I still say 4 more good fixtures to come for them. Do you still recommend Kern? Now, in the long run, you said Ings was the better player to have. Do you think this one goal could get, Jimenez giving you those returns, especially with the likes of Podence doing quite everything besides getting that goal assist, right? He almost got one for Roman Says, and I was jumping up and down. Was correctly ruled out offside. But do you think there is merit to say that now maybe you should consider leaving Jimenez in your team over Ings?
I'd say, see, whichever one you have, stick with him. I don't think anyone should be making a change. I don't think there's that much differentiating the two still. To use that transfer on them. I think both are going to be sort of at par. So sort of stick with them at least for the next couple of game weeks. The thing I see is how Ings has Che Adams, who's almost there, but finally got his goals. I think Podence is there about for Wolves. So for me, the only thing that sort of changes this is that if I'm looking for a Wolves asset, I can look at a Podence in midfield to sort of complement him. Southampton Ings is sort of the only one unless you go for Che Adams. So I think if you are looking, you can sort of balance out by having one of the two, right? And sort of balance things out through those depending on how the rest of your team is. But otherwise, I think they're still neck to neck. Not a big difference. Oh, you must take this one over the other or anything like that. That's all. Whoever you have, stick with. And if you want cover, balance out with either Che Adams or Podence.
Fair enough. I don't think there's anything I want to add more to that because I think this is the debate we've started about 2 weeks back, and I think that's a good close to that debate right there. Let's move on to Harry Kane now. Let's move on to Spurs. The reason why I had Harry Kane in my side from the very first game, because not just because of the fixtures, I personally saw Mourinho talk about Harry Kane, and I thought that Harry Kane would actually be the top scorer, will win the Golden Boot this year. So by that logic, that's what I feel. I would obviously have him in my team from the start, right? It makes no sense for me not to back that claim. I'm looking at Spurs fixtures now, and they have good fixtures. We discussed this last week as well. They have good Burnley away, Brighton home, West Brom away, but then they have Man City, Chelsea, Arsenal. But the kind of form they're in, you would even see him getting goals there, right? Would you look at Harry Kane still if you don't have him in your squad, or would you now look at the likes of let's say you're Jamie Vardy, he's injured, he's not been looking that good apart from penalties. Would you look at even getting in Aguero at 10.4, less than 2% ownership, and he is fit now?
So that's obviously an interesting point about Aguero, right? And that's at that low in ownership, and obviously no one expected him to start over the weekend, but he did.
Yeah.
Right, at that low percent, he's FPL royalty, so you want to get him in. But Harry Kane is just unignorable right now. I was talking earlier about, we'll come to it later. And that's the only change that I want to make, and that's the only thing where in my wildcard team I like Harry Kane. That's the missing one. So that's the only change I might make. I might sort of downgrade a Son to someone else and then get Harry Kane in, because I don't see any other way to sort of bring him in. Son and Kane double up does for now look incredible. Will it sustain over long periods of time? I mean, I'm going to leave it to you, since you're the king on that one. You've had them and it's worked for you. It's working right now, right? And that's the thing in FPL. I think that's an approach that needs to be taken, that when you're getting points, look at who's going to get the big points, that we can try to get that person in. And that's one thing that I'm sort of kicking myself for this weekend. I knew Harry Kane, captain, was going to get all those points, but still sort of shied away from it. So if you don't have Harry Kane, you get him. Aguero, maybe a couple of weeks down the line, maybe once KDB is back, then KDB Aguero could be the Son and Kane, where that link up is just phenomenal and brings attacking returns for both players. But for now, Harry Kane is sort of must-have in FPL teams, I would say.
Yeah, so Son's ownership is at 48.8%. Won't be surprised if it touches 50%. His ownership was at 20% almost when that game week when he was not supposed to play against United. And his obviously has a meteoric rise right now. Salah's at 47% now, so he's actually crossed Salah's ownership. Calvert-Lewin ownership right now, you'd be surprised. So Calvert-Lewin is someone everyone's taken. Calvert-Lewin's at about 54%. I'm seeing Son by this weekend could easily cross 50 to 53% and join Calvert-Lewin, right? But yeah, if you haven't got either Son or Kane, and if you could get one of them into your squad, it's tough now, Kern, for me if I would tell you to pick any one of them. Because looking at that Bale could be fit now. Bale at 9.5 would probably play a game. They have Mora, they have Bergwijn, and they have squad depth. And with Europa, if he's forced to rotate players around, you never know if Son's looking fatigued, he might rest him or he'll be on the bench, right? But I think Harry Kane is so pivotal for them. So I would just say if you have the money, maybe Harry Kane for me. Although I would personally prefer Son in my team all the time, right?
Yeah.
Let's move on.
We talk about talisman players, right? Earlier in the talisman theory, that who was going to get the maximum point for the team, get it. And while Son looked like that player for the first few weeks for Spurs, now with Bale coming back, it is shifting to Kane because, as you said rightly, Son famously has not been able to get rest because of no replacements. But Bale could start taking some of those minutes and some of that pressure off Son. So I think that way, and there's no replacement for Kane yet, so Kane could do it. I mean, he has 25 shots, 13 shots on target, and 7 big chances created, which are all top in the league so far. So he's number one on all those stats. So it's not he's overperforming. His stats are there to back him up. The underlying stats are there to back it up. So Kane does look like the real deal.
Yeah, and like I said, it's come to a point where the fixtures are also backing him now. If I just talk about the fixtures now as a last point, the fixtures back it up. So there's no way for me when I don't look at it. But hey, we've spoken about Aguero. We would hold on any City asset moves till the Champions League is not done, right? But, if I had to consider KDB is not being fit, a lot of managers still, held on to KDB because it was a one-game week blip, hopefully, where he would not start, right? But, as an early thought, let's say you don't look at City assets, and something you personally mentioned, maybe if I look away from City assets, and if it's not Bruno Fernandes, because managers have got in Bruno Fernandes as well now, who is the other player you would say it's good to go for? with Liverpool, the double up was there. With Virgil van Dijk gone, suddenly Liverpool, is it looking shaky for you? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely going to affect Liverpool. No Virgil van Dijk and no Alisson. So, I think there's suddenly a lot more work to be done for them at the back in midfield. A lot more legs need to be put in concentrating, sort of making up for massive losses in defense, right? I'm not saying they're not going to score, which is why still one of Salah or Mane still is a must-have in your team. But a double up, no, especially because you have options elsewhere. You have the likes of Raheem Sterling who are still there, even though KDB seems to be out, I think, maybe for another couple of games. Right? So you still have Raheem
But
Sterling.
if you don't have Bruno, then Bruno's first pick, obviously.
Bruno is still, I mean, we saw over the weekend, right? And this is sort of an episode looking forward, but also learning from what happened over the weekend. And Bruno was involved in every single thing Man United were doing. He could have easily got more points. I mean, he got 3 bonus points after missing a penalty. And his first penalty miss in 20. So I don't see him missing more penalties or too many of them. Or, he could have easily got a lot more points than he did. I just see Bruno being central to anything that Man United does, and they do seem to be doing decently well, although their fixtures coming up aren't that appealing. So my first pick would be KDB to Sterling, if you sort of want to. Bruno, just because the fixtures is sort of a hold up. But having said that, they're playing Chelsea, who concede a lot of goals. So, I will keep an eye out to see if Mendy is fit or not.
Mm-hmm.
If Mendy is still not fit by the weekend, Bruno seems, I'd say go for Bruno because Chelsea will concede a few.
All right, that's looking solid over there. Bruno's owned by 21.1% managers, so not that high. I read that wrong, so that's my mistake earlier, guys. Sorry about that. And I have Sterling in my team as well, Kern. But if I'm looking at 11.5 Sterling, and I don't have Bruno myself, it's a switch out worth. I'd be considering maybe one more week later. Maybe one more week. I'll let one more week go. Yeah. I'm just wary about Chelsea, right? And I'll tell you why. So now let's move on to the Chelsea assets. We said we'll be looking at Chelsea midfielders to get in maybe after the last game week. If I'm honest with you, Kern, I'm not any more convinced than I was last week. I don't know if I should probably recommend Pulisic at 8.3. Look, I'm not going to repeat the prices. They're right there on the screen here, right? Ziyech is someone I thought I want in my side long term, but he's still not looking fit enough. We'll know after the Champions League. So before we see them play in the Champions League, is there any midfielder who's convinced you? I know you have Pulisic, but has he convinced you?
He got the eye test. If that's and that is something we need to look at along with the stats, right? In the end, it is played on the field. You're not just played between stats. So he did do a lot in that sense, but he was unfortunately getting the assist for the assister. But I do hope that will change. If not, as we said, Werner is going to be phenomenal, and he's had a price drop since the start of the season, right? So that's sort of appealing as well. So if you still aren't able to stretch in your forward line, maybe you can save some money with elsewhere and sort of go for maybe if you want an explosive forward line, Kane and Werner. Just imagine that. I think that could be a good one. But if we're talking strictly Chelsea midfield, I'm still looking at Pulisic now over the others because, as you said, Ziyech is still not completely into the system, whereas Pulisic is. And that's the only reason. Still, I'm picking Pulisic over Ziyech. Maybe it changes after a couple of weeks, though.
Okay, fair enough. So that is our take on the Chelsea asset. I don't think we can comment any more right now until we don't see maybe the Champions League fixture, right? Now, Kern, let's move on from that to defense. Looking at the way Liverpool have injuries now, and we recommended this last week as well, right? And that's something I've said since the very first game week, Robertson over Trent, only because of the way they looked at pre-season and the end of last season. Is it better to let go of Liverpool defenders completely, get in that 1.5 or 2.0 in your bank, enabling you to even upgrade from Calvert-Lewin to Werner and switching to a Reguilon in your team? Or a size if you still don't have it, or any Wolves defender?
Yeah, I think, it might be time. I said this last week as well. Long term, we might change, but currently, it's a better bet to go off your Liverpool defenders and invest them than other attacking fullbacks. We already said Robertson over Trent and Arnold, and another thing that sort of worked, right? Both of us called that. And he did get more points, and Alexander is still looking weak, and Liverpool defense will leak. So while they're going to be leaking, if you're looking at only attacking returns, there are those to be found elsewhere, right? Obviously, Saiss, Semedo, Markal, all these Wolves options look really good. In fact, Saiss was playing left wing back because of injuries also. So that
And
looked
that was
really
the
good.
danger, right, Kern, that Size could himself also be rotated. It's not that he's that rotation free. He looks solid, but the whole point was they could either play Kilman or Markal and Size. So two out of those three. So one of those could be pushed out. It could have been Kilman, but Kilman looks good himself. So you
I think
never know,
Saiss
right?
will play ahead Kilman. Yes, there is that scare, but I think Saiss will, once he's back, I think Saiss will move back to Kilman's position. Kilman will unfortunately
Be on
go
the
to the
bench.
bench.
And
Uh,
Markal will slot in on the
yeah,
left.
on the left wing. Yeah. So that's there for me. The only thing that's going against Reguilon for me is Spurs, first option Harry Kane, second option Son. I'm not going to triple up on Spurs. And honestly, I think once Mendy is back, I think Chelsea will solidify their defense, which is I'm doubling down on my move for Chilwell. Mendy should be back. He just has an injury. Lampard is hoping Champions League. It seems too soon. If he's back for the weekend, okay, it's United right now, but eventually, I think Chilwell over Reguilon for me, because if you look at Chelsea, yes, they've conceded a lot of goals, but second fewest shots in the league after City. So it's just that it's been crazily high, conceding. They've conceded crazily high amount of goals, and that's down to Kepa, right? And as soon as Mendy came in, they got that clean sheet. So I think Chilwell over Reguilon for me because of all those stats around Chelsea. As compared to Spurs, come on, you could see it this weekend. They just tend to bottle things, and that's just Spurs. How do you know, right? They even under Jose, they don't look solid at the back. They are going to concede, and I don't want to triple up on Spurs. That's
Yeah,
why these
fair
are my
enough.
options.
So fair enough, Kern. And before we just completely move on and close this episode, we spoke about maybe considering Burnley assets. They don't have the best fixtures coming in, like we said. They have Tottenham and Chelsea up next, Brighton, Palace, and then Man City, then Everton, then Arsenal, and that's already mid through December. But after that, things ease up for them into Jan. I have Charlie Taylor at 4.5, right? And I think at that price is just a set and forget, not really someone I'm focusing too much on. He got me that clean sheet this week, though. That was appreciated. Do you think that it is still time for those players who missed out on Martinez, who's now at 4.7, and look at the likes of Nick Pope, who's at 5.5? Oh, that's just still too much, and you should just not make that move to him yet.
Yeah, see, for me, Annie, you can get into both defenses and at cheaper price points. So while Pope comes in at 5.5, he does have cheaper alternates, as you have Charlie Taylor at 4.5 to come in and then be a rotating defender. Whereas Aston Villa don't really have any standout defenders to pick from, whereas Martinez is great at 4.7. But if you bring Pope in at 5.5 as a keeper, with the fixtures coming up, you're not really going to rotate him out from those, right? Whereas Martinez 4.7, even if he does not guarantee get those clean sheets, you have that 0.8 at least that you're using elsewhere in your team. And you can sort of then have both covers and a good price point. So I think that's the way to go here. Rather than a Pope, I would still stick with Martinez if you don't have him. I would still say he's still at a good price point to bring him in. And use, if you want Burnley cover, 4.5 is great to have in your team.
Yeah, fair enough, Kern. And before we 100% leave, for the likes of players who are still looking at your 7.0 midfielders, right? I'll be talking about James personally. I want to talk about him again in the next episode. For the ones who went for Grealish like me, look, I switched out Grealish for the likes of I switched out Harvey Barnes for the like of Grealish because I saw Harvey Barnes not doing too much against Aston Villa, and I thought Grealish coming in for maybe we'll get an assist or two. But if you haven't got either of those players, right, I would say definitely go look at Barkley or McGinn at those price points and the way they are involved in Villa's attack. They will get you those assists here and there, and they'll be enough playing. They'll be playing week in, week out unless they're injured, and they're much cheaper than Grealish. But we'll discuss this and a lot more in the next episode. Kern, thank you so much again for taking us to the tricky wildcard phase. It was a challenging one, and hopefully we won't have another wildcard episode for a while, maybe after the international break. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in and supporting us and following us on social media. Please keep hitting the subscribe button if you are already on it and you're watching our episode. Make sure you turn on the notifications so you know when our new videos are coming out. Follow us on our social media handles as well if you are not. We're happy to engage with you in the comment section if any help with your team is needed. You've done that in the past. You've happily helped managers over this weekend itself till the very last minute, right? So thank you so much again for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Peace, guys.